Hello and welcome back to my channel. I hope you had a good start into the year. It is the third video of the year, so I kind of want to talk about a topic that I realized I myself nearly slipped into, and I think it's important to talk about. So let's talk about the amount of books you read in a year. You probably also had a lot of these videos in your feed, but I got a lot of I read X amount of books last year, let's review them all. Those type of videos, or like all of the books I read in 2024. Those types of videos. And the videos I've seen on my feed vary between like 50 books up to like 300 books. They all vary between these two numbers, and my amount I read last year is like pretty dang in the middle. I read about 130, like slightly over 130 books last year, and I realized how I started thinking to myself, oh my god, I read so little. Like I could have read so much more. Like there are people out there who read so much, and I started questioning my worth as a reader. And I'm pretty sure like I'm not the only one out there who gets in those thought cycles, and I kind of want to talk about it because it's such a stupid thing to think about. Because even if you only read like two books last year, you can still say you're a reader. You still read books. It's so dumb to actually like confine it to like, oh, I read over 100 books last year, so I'm a reader. It's kind of stupid, but I feel like like the beginning of the year is always such a comparison game, and I'm kind of sick of it, to be honest. And it's not like anybody means harm with these videos. I don't think anybody like films those videos with the thought behind them like, oh my god, I'm so much better than other readers. I don't think that's the thought behind the videos, but it's still what's coming across through these videos, because let's be honest, like reading 300 books is not a sensible number for anybody with like a normal job, like a normal 9 to 5, and then having reading as a hobby. Like it's just not like in any way a realistic number to achieve. And then also, there are small books, there are big books. If I read like an 80-page book each day, like yeah, I can read 300 books in a year, but at the same time, you could read like one 800-page book every 2 weeks, and your number would be a lot less, but you would still have read the same amount, just not in the number of books. So obviously, like the number is really like an arbitrary thing to compare your reading to. But still, if you see those videos, and somebody is like, oh, I read 200 books, it's so hard not to start comparing yourself to that person and like not go like, oh my god, I could have read so much more. And I started doing that, and I just I started realizing how bad that is for my mental health, because I started going into the spiral of like, oh my god, I need to read more. I had such a slow start to the year reading wise. I need to like start reading quicker. I need to get more reading done in a day, which is so unrealistic. And just like, I read so many books last year. There's no reason to read any more book wise. Statistically, I read like a book every 3 days, which is like an incredible amount of books, and something that's not realistic for a lot of people, because I'm happy I only have one job. I have YouTube as a hobby, but it's not a job. And I have like a 9 to 5, but I have a really flexible 9 to 5, so I can start really early. I have a lot of my afternoon off. I have a pretty privileged life when it comes to that, so I don't need to worry about money, or like I'm not somebody who's rich. I don't make a lot of money, but I make enough money that I don't have to worry about, do I need a second job or something like that. Not that it's even that possible in Germany. It's like a little bit with taxes and how a second job is often not a sensible thing in Germany because they take so much. It's a complicated thing, but I think for most of it, I have a pretty like nice life when it comes to that. But for a lot of people, like it isn't like that. Like a lot of, especially Americans, if we're gonna, talk about the problem group when it comes to it, a lot of Americans, I think, have like 2 or 3 jobs just to get by. And so obviously it's not realistic for those people to read like even the amount of books I read last year. And I think even though nobody means harm with the videos, I think it starts this comparison game of like, oh my god, I read so much, and starts to make people feel really, really bad about about the amount of books they read and how they are, like what type of a reader they are. Even though, you know, if you read, you're a reader, it doesn't matter the amount of books, the length of books, the genre of books, you know, it's kind of goes into the same realm as some people. And I have heard people talk about that, you know, oh, the people that only read smut aren't like readers, which is bullshit. You know, if you read the book, you're a reader. It really doesn't matter. You don't even have to read the book. You can listen to the book. You're still a reader. Even if all of the books you read are as an audiobook, you're still a reader, you know? And I think it's important to hear and to say that it doesn't matter the amount of books you've read. If you've read 2 books last year, welcome to the reading club. If you read 300 books last year, welcome to the reading club. I'm slightly jealous, but also not, because I have a lot of other things to do with my time. And to be fair, I couldn't even imagine reading 300 books in a year. I just can't. I physically cannot comprehend that. I don't know. I think I would have burned out by that time. I think it's really cool that there are people out there who can do that and, you know, who like to do that. I don't think it would ever be possible for me to read that much in 1 year, you know? I mean, it's cool because you can read so many of the books that come out, and let's be honest, like, there are so many books coming out each and every day nowadays, so you obviously there's no way to read all of them, but you know, if you read 300, you have a good chance of like reading a good chunk of them. So I mean, that's cool for you, but like it's just not realistic for most people. And I don't think it's fair to compare yourself to somebody who reads that many books. Like one booktuber, for example, she uploaded her video, and it's, you know, it's just kind of tier listing the books that she read in the last year, and there were so many. And the thing is, she does it full time. Obviously, she has a lot more time to read than your typical person who has a normal job and then has the reading in the afternoon, in the evening, you know, whenever you have free time. So there's obviously like a big difference, but it still is hard not to feel bad about, you know, not being able to read as much, even though there's just no conceivable way you could read as much as them, because you would need to be a booktuber by main job to be able to do that. And let's be honest, that's just not a possible thing for most of us. And I don't think a lot of people would want that. I think it's also, you know, if you do make your hobby into a job, it can backfire pretty epically. I think that is something we hear about again and again online. So, you know, a lot of people probably don't want that. So why would you compare yourself to somebody who isn't even in the same like life as you are? You know, they have such a different lifestyle and such a different opportunity each and every day that, you know, it's just, you know, you wouldn't compare yourself to like professional athlete, you know. So why are we kind of comparing ourselves to professional readers, even though, you know, they are obviously aren't professional readers, but it's what I would compare it to, you know. You don't compare yourself to like an athlete that you're not as fit as them, but because it's their job and it's not your job, you know. And so you probably shouldn't do it as much as the person who does it as their job, you know. And I think it's important that we remember that at the beginning of this year, that we need to stop comparing ourselves, and that, you know, reading isn't a competition. And I think reading shouldn't be a competition because it takes a lot of the fun out of reading. I think reading should be something we all do together to compare what we like about the books, you know, to exchange our thoughts about the book, but not compare the amount of books we are reading each and every year, because it's just not healthy. It's just not a healthy exchange. And I don't know, I didn't make a video about like, oh, I read X amount of books last year just because of that, because I think it's just, it feels like bragging, even though like it's I mean, in a kind of sense, I would say it's bragging, because, you know, you're kind of bragging with the amount of books you've read, and if you come to like those really high numbers, um, I think the people know that they, like, other people can't really compare to that. And so I think it's a little bit of bragging, and I would not want to do that. I think it's kind of weird to put the focus on that, even though I do get that the videos are interesting for a lot of people. But then again, I don't think I could, like, my concentration wouldn't be there to get a review of like 200 books in one video. I don't think that that's actually doable for me, to be honest, with my attention span. If you like those videos, fantastic. It's like wonderful. I just don't think that they are really the most productive videos, all in all, to be honest. So yeah, that is kind of all I wanted to talk about. You know, I wanted to give you a little bit of a reminder, like, don't compare yourself to people on the internet, which we all should know, but I think like it's hard sometimes. It's really hard sometimes. And you know, you're doing great, whatever amount of books you've read last year, and do it at your pace. Read the books you like to read. Don't let anybody tell you that you are doing reading wrong. There's no wrong way to reading except for not reading. You know, if you want to read, pick up a book, do it at your pace, read whatever you want, and enjoy it. And I think that's the most important thing we need to remember, especially at a time right now where pretty much all people are comparing notes on what they read last year. And yeah, I think you're doing great, whatever you're doing with reading. And hopefully you can remember that and won't let yourself get down as I did, like for like 10 minutes with the amount of books other people read. You know, it's not worth it. It's just not. So yeah, thank you for listening to this quick little video about the topic. I just wanted to let a little bit of a video out there. You know, just a quick let's talk about it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave your opinion down below. Maybe you have a totally different opinion and you have some good arguments for that. I would really love to hear that in the comments. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.